Good day, learners. Welcome to another session. In this session, we'll be looking at a question that involves a question about trigonometry. So, if we can check here, we have question 2 here. So, 2.1, we are given what? Sine theta equals to what? 2 divided by 5. And we are given what? The interval for theta is the element of what? 90 to 270. So this is very important for you to note. 90 to 270, you can see when you draw your cast, you need to draw your cast first. So I'd suggest that the first thing before you solve this equation, you need to draw your cast, right? So you know from your cast, this is your first quadrant. This is your second quadrant. This is your third quadrant. This is your fourth quadrant, right? So here, all the trig functions are what? Are positive. And then here, if we can check here, this is only s, which is sine. Sine is the only one which is positive here in the second quadrant. And then here, only tan is positive in the third quadrant. And then here, the fourth quadrant, as cos is the only one that's positive in the fourth quadrant. So cast, if you can check, it forms what? A word cast. So this is the word that you should remember. Okay. So when we solve this question, if we can check, we are given this what? This restriction, or you can call it an interval. Okay, we have 0 degrees here, we have 90 degrees here, we have 180 degrees here, we have 270 degrees here, we have 360 degrees here, right? So we can see this interval from 90 to 270, it involves the second quadrant and the third quadrant. So the big question is, which one do we choose between the second quadrant or the third quadrant? But we're given something else here, the sine theta. Sine theta is what? Is 2 divided by 5. So let's note this down, right? Sine theta is 2 divided by 5. But what do we know about sine theta? Sine theta is opposite over hypotenuse, right? So opposite, it's y, right? And hypotenuse is what? It's r, right? And we're given y is what? Is 2, yeah? And then r is what? Is 5. So if y is 2, right, which means it's positive, it means it must be where? Here, because the y is positive here, the y is negative here, so it must be here. So we have an idea that this function is in the what? Is in the second quadrant. Okay, so what's left now is to find the value of what? Of x, because we know our y, we know our r, and our x in the second quadrant. We have to be careful here. Our x in the second quadrant is negative, so the answer that we get for when we calculate x, we must get negative, right? So how do we get x? We know the relationship between the hypotenuse and x and y through the theorem of Pythagoras, right? We have our r. What is our r? Is 5 here. So 5 squared equals to, what is our x? We don't know. We are looking for x. So y, do we know our y is 5? It's what is 2 here. So it will be 2 squared, right? And then we'll have to make x the subject of the formula, right? So we write x squared. X squared will equal to this 5 squared here. 5 squared is what? Is 25. So minus what? Minus 2 squared, yeah? 2 squared is what? Is 4. So here we'll have x squared equal to what? 25 minus 4 is what? Is 21. So we'll have x equal to what? Plus or minus square root of 21. So which one between plus or minus we choose? We said in the second quadrant here, our x value is what? Is negative. So it will have to be negative 21. So our x value will equal to negative 21. So remember they asked us to calculate what? The cos theta. What is our cos theta? We know that cos theta is what? Is the adjacent over the hypotenuse, right? What is the adjacent? We calculated the adjacent, which is negative square root of 21, divided by what? R. What is R? Is the hypotenuse. We know our hypotenuse, which is 5. We're given. Okay, so it will be negative 21 divided by what? Divided by 5. So we have calculated the cos theta that they want us to calculate here. Okay, moving forward. The second question, 2.2, right? So we have 2.2. So in 2.2, we have 2.2.1. Okay, let me copy this. We have cos square 45 plus sine 330 multiplied by tan square 210. Okay, so if we can check, we just need to simplify here. Okay, we'll leave cos square 45 for now. Let's first deal with sine 330. Sine 330 can be written as what? As 360 minus what? Minus 30, right? And tan 210 can be written as what? A close number between 360 and 180 is 180. So we'll say it can be written as 180 plus 30 degrees, right? Remember this one is being squared. And then, okay, this will equal to what? Let's write cos square 45 for now, and then plus sine 360 minus 30. Sine 360 minus 30 is here. So 360 minus 30, you can see is 330. 330 is somewhere on the fourth quadrant. Is this positive? Is sine positive on the fourth quadrant? No, it's negative. Only cos on the fourth quadrant is positive. So sine is negative. So we need to change this sign here so that it's what? It's negative. So it will be negative what? 30 degrees, this one, right? And then what about the tan? The tan 180 plus 30. We know here, this is 180 here, plus 30 will fall somewhere here. Tan is positive here. You can see it's positive in the third quadrant. So it will be positive. We won't have a problem with the sign. We won't change the sign. Okay, it will be what? Tan 30 degrees, right? So we are fine. So what we can do, the next thing we can do here is we can see here we have special angles. We have 45, we have 30, we have also 30 here. So I'd suggest that uh, for special angles, we draw this first quadrant, okay? And then you draw the lines. This is your 30-degree line. Okay, this one somewhere here. This is your 45-degree line. This is your 60-degree line, right? Okay, let me label it. This is what the 30 degree. Okay, this one is the 45 degrees. These are special angles. Okay, and this one is what, the 60 degrees. 60 degrees. So I'm sorry if this one is not that visible, but I hope it makes sense. Okay, and then here we know the coordinates here. The first one here it's square root of what, 4 is to 0. We the second one, square root 3 is to square root 1, and then here square root 2 is to square root 2, and then here square root 1 is to square root 3, and then here square root 0 is to square root 4, right? So if we simplify this, you know that square root 2 is what? This is the same as what? Is the same as 2 is to 0. Just simplifying it. This one is fine. This one is fine. This one can be written as what? As 1 is to square root 3. And then this one, if I simplify it, is 0 is to 2, right? So the radius here is always what? It's always 2. The radius is 2. So these are the points here. So you need to know how to quickly draw this on your rough work, so that you can, if they ask you not to use the calculator, you can still use your special angles or calculate you using your special angles, right? So let's check cos 45. What is cos 45? Okay, let's see here from our special angles. So it's the blue one here, right? Let's check the coordinate. We have square root of 2 is to square root of 2. This is, remember, this is your x, this is your y, right? So cos, we know it's x divided by the hypotenuse, or adjacent divided by the hypotenuse. What is your adjacent here? Is square root 2, right? Square root 2 divided by the hypotenuse, which is what? Which is 2. Remember, the r is always what? Is always 2, right? And then don't forget we square here. The 45, the cos 45 is being squared. And then sine 30, sine 30 is the red one here. So we check the coordinates. What do we have? We have square root of 3 and what? And square root of 1. Square root of 1 is the same as 1, right? I could have rewrote this one as what? Square root of 3 is to 1, right? Let me just write this. Can be written as square root of 3 is to 1, right? Just rewriting it. Okay. So what is our hypotenuse? Our hypotenuse is always 2. Our opposite, remember, sine is what is opposite, which is 1, divided by our hypotenuse, which is 2. So it will be what? It will be 1 divided by 2, right? So 1 divided by 2 is the sine 30. And then the tan square 30, let's see, tan 30, okay, is again here. So what will be our tan 30? Let's check the coordinates. So remember, tan is opposite over adjacent. So our opposite is 1 here. Adjacent is square root of 3. So it will be 1 divided by square root of 3. So we must not forget that the tan, we do what? We need to square. We need to square our tan. So we need to square this one here. So if we simplify further, what do we have? We have square root of 2 divided by 2 squared. This will be what? 2 divided by 4. And then minus, um, we have the half here. Let's first work this one. 1 divided by square root of 3 squared. It will be what? It will be 1 divided by 3. So this, we know that 2 divided by 4 is the same as half. And then minus this one, when we multiply half and 1/3 is what? Is 1 divided by 6. So all we need to do is to just add this or minus this, half minus um, 1 over 6. What do we have? We can get the LCD, which is what? Which is 6. 2 divided by 6 is 3. 3 times 1 is 3. And then 3 divided by 6, and 3, 6 divided by 6 is 1. 1 multiplied by 1 is what? Is 1. So it will be a negative 1. So in this case, we'll have what? 2 divided by 6, which is what? Which is 1 divided by 3. So that's our final answer for 2.2.1. Okay. And then moving forward, okay, let's check 2.2.2. Okay, for 2.2.2, okay, we have what? We have sine 90 minus x, tan negative x, and then cos x plus what? 180 degrees, right? So this is divided by what? It's all divided by the cos of 1080 plus x, and then times by what? Cos 90 plus what? Plus x, right? So, okay, now we need to simplify this. Sine 90 minus x, we can see sine 90 minus x, it's in which quadrant? It's here. It's on the first quadrant. So 90 minus x, so it's somewhere here. So we know all the functions here are what? Are positive. And remember, sine is a core function, right? So it means if we have sine 90 minus x, this can be written as what? As cos what? As cos x. Why? Because sine and cos are core functions, right? So if we check, the next one is what? Is tan negative x. So if you see tan negative x, normally tan x is somewhere here in the first quadrant. But if it's tan negative x, it goes to, right, to the fourth quadrant now. So it will be in the fourth quadrant. So will tan be positive or negative in the fourth quadrant? It will be negative. Why? Because cos here in the fourth quadrant, only cos is what? Is positive. So everything else, like sine and tan here, they are all negative. So tan, negative tan x, this one here in the fourth quadrant, it will be negative. So we'll have what? Negative tan x. So it's very important for us to put brackets here to indicate that we are still multiplying. We are not minusing now. This is just a sign for what? For tan. So put brackets first. And then here we have cos x plus 180. Normally cos x is here in the first quadrant. When we add 180 degrees, so it will fall somewhere here. It will fall here on the third quadrant, right? So is cos positive or negative in the third quadrant? Only tan is positive in the third quadrant. So it means cos will be negative in the third quadrant. So this will be what? Negative cos x. So again, we need to put the brackets again to indicate that we are still multiplying. This is just a sign for cos, right? Okay, then we divide by what? If we can check 1080, when you minus 360 here, 1080 you can confirm with your calculator. When you minus 1080 with 360, you'll get 730. You minus again 360, you get what? 360. You minus again by 360, you get what? You get 0, right? So what does this mean? it means that um, this one is the same as adding 0. So you can minus with 360 and you'll get back to what? You'll get back to cos x. So this can be written as what? As cos x, because this can be minus by 360 three times. So it will be 0. So it can be written as cos x. And then this one, cos 90 plus x, is in which quadrant? Because we know cos x is here, right? If we add 90 degrees, it will fall uh, in the second quadrant. So it means here cos is what? Is negative. So cos will be negative here. Okay. So we'll have what? Negative, negative cos x, right? So it's very important for you to understand this. If you add 90 plus x here, remember one thing I need you to also take note here is that cos is also a co-function, or with what? With sine. So instead of writing here, we know that cos will be what? In the second quadrant here, right? So in the second quadrant, it will be negative, right? So instead of saying that cos 90 plus x, you can rewrite this as what? As negative sine x, right? Why? Because cos and sine are what? Are co-functions. So you can rewrite this as negative sine x. So what do you do next? We can simplify this, okay? But we can see there is cos here and cos here. We can easily uh, cancel that. Okay, we are left with what? We are left with tan x, right? So what can we do here? We know that tan x, tan x can be written as what? Tan x can be written as sine x divided by what? Cos x, right? And then what do we have here? We have this is negative times negative, it will be positive. We have cos x, right? So divided by what? Divided by negative sine x, which is this one, right? So this is multiplying that here. So what can we see here? The sine can cancel here, and then the cos can cancel here. What do we have left? We are now left with what? Negative 1. So negative 1 is the final answer here. Thank you.